Are you living life on fast forward? When we get sober, life can often feel like it has slowed down. But when we are high, life actually feels like it's on fast forward. Now, let's be real, time doesn't actually slow down or fast forward, but it sure feels that way sometimes. That fast forward feeling is comparable to a dissociated state. A dissociated state, such as a high state, when you are consuming something that alters your perception of time, and your internal reality, whether that's feelings, thoughts, and anything beyond that. It can feel like life is not real or that we are floating through life. And that is a sign that your system is in a state of stress. Sure, you're smoking to feel better, to maybe chill or relax yourself back down, or find some kind of creative outlet. But at the same time, you having to do something to change how you were feeling prior to smoking is usually a sign that you're avoiding something in your life, because most addictions stem from an inability to feel or a desire to not feel as much or at all. What goals, dreams, desires do you have in life? And how are you going to achieve them if you're dissociated, if you're high, if you're living your life on fast forward? How long can you keep your nervous system in fight, flight, or freeze mode? Because let's face it, when people are consuming a product and then they stop, it's just like a breakup. It's no different than if you went through a relationship breakup. You now have to start reconnecting to yourself. Who are you without this thing in your life? How do you continue on in your life without this thing, whether it's the relationship to marijuana or a relationship in general? And as you go through life, that extension that you had of yourself, like marijuana, is now gone. So now it's just you. And how okay are you being with yourself? What is your relationship like with yourself when there's no other distractions? There's no escaping or dissociating through a drag of a joint. How are you going to handle the many ups and downs in life that come your way? How are you going to deal with the stressors in your life when you have spent a long duration of time not connecting to yourself, rather than deal with the fact that you hate your job or that it stresses you out, and maybe even if the money's good, you think you might need to change career paths. Instead, you come home and smoke and just tell yourself, hey, it pays the bills, and you know what? If I smoke, I don't have to feel that way. Well, pain really is a beautiful thing in life once you've kind of gotten to that mindset. Because all it really is something that is pointing us to either change ourselves or change our life. It's a motivational aspect to ourselves. So when you have spent so much time fast forwarding through your life, you can often look back and feel like you haven't accomplished the things that you want to have accomplished. You may feel like you're kind of a late bloomer or you're behind the curve, and that you really had hoped that you'd be a lot further than you are in life than current. Well, if you keep escaping your reality and avoiding pain, you're never really going to rise to the occasion to get those dreams and goals that you have for yourself. Because as you get through difficult things consciously from a sober place, you start to realize that you kind of can't take yourself so seriously. Things that you may struggle with are something that, in the moment may seem quite potent. But then after you succeed, you look back and say, you know what, it really wasn't that big a deal. Now, people will sometimes try and, move through their life and accomplish things high. And sure, you can do that. And you can outwardly even look like you've really got it together. But more often than not, even if you have it together on the outside, there's a chance that if you're escaping through drugs of any kind, you're maybe disconnected to something else. And it's usually the internal state. You want to avoid the fact that you've been hurt in the past. You may need to escape the fact that you're not happy with the relationships at your job, or that you really feel like you're lacking even though you have so many things going for yourself. So you can't live your life dissociated for very long before your system starts to revolt. So where you originally started off with marijuana being this miracle thing that made you feel really good and it helped you relax and enjoy your more creative side, that was beneficial. But as you suppress things that you needed to address and that you don't, and you keep pushing them down because there's kids and bills and other responsibilities, what you find is they go away. But they go away into the background of the subconscious. And then eventually this shows up in your physical health. You start getting health issues. You start struggling mentally. You start struggling in, your drive to move forward in life, whether that's career or, starting that side hustle, or even being more attentive to your relationships. And so what happened a lot of the times is where somebody originally found a lot of benefit from marijuana smoking, towards the end to where they start more dipping their toes into quitting or taking tolerance breaks or becoming sober, so they start actually having adverse side effects from marijuana, to where it was once beneficial, now they're having more anxiety. They're finding that they're angry if they're not consistently high, or they're edgy. And so your system will revolt and make you face your problems eventually if you don't. So if this is something that you struggle with and you actually want to quit marijuana altogether, it's actually something you can achieve very easily. And by resetting that subconscious anchoring that you have to this problem, what will end up happening is you change a lot of different things in the background that you wouldn't be aware of. Even though we've addressed maybe a cluster of things within, our session, all those things also have little smaller attributes that go along with it. And those things change too. And that's where I've seen people do a complete 180 in their life by addressing some simple areas in their life, like being sober. All of a sudden, after our session, they find themselves eating healthier and really being repulsed by junk food, but before they really loved it. They might start working out again. They change their careers a couple times and maybe finally start up a side hustle. So if you keep living your life on fast forward, if you keep just pushing your system aside and ignoring it through escaping into this marijuana, how much longer can you continue that before it starts becoming a problem in your life? And if this is something that you are wanting to deal with, then let's get it done.